Hi, welcome. It's been a while since we've been on. We've been so busy. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This is Joanna from the Early Morning Ascension Show, but it's not really early, it's kind of late. But whenever you watch this, it'll be early for you because you're just waking up. That means you're waking up. Welcome to your wake up. Welcome everybody, wake up. Wake up. What we're going to talk about today is a part of that waking up. Allowing our soul and divine, awesome, beautiful, spiritual self to come and live through us in the beautiful experience of who we are as divine gods and goddesses, remembering who we are as spirit. All that we are in recreating the stories of our value, our importance, our self-worth, really solves and resolves all of the issues that we now see being manifested out in our world as a collective rewrite, if you will. Everything that is going on out there is the reflections and the stories of what's going on within, how we have given our power away, how we have allowed ourselves to be controlled by various programs and systems of separation that we've gone through so many eons. And it's all valued, it's all important, and it's all real, and it allows us to really understand the quantum balance of our universe. And if we're experiencing something that's in separation and density, then we have the equal experience to experience it in full liberation. And so that is the process of awakening, is to really come to that inner state of wholeness within yourself, to feed yourself and to nourish yourself, the light that you require. Every being has their own unique system, the epicenter of light that they're held within, the fields and the bodies. And it's up to each person to begin to nourish and to begin to rewrite the story with new beliefs, with new experiences of desires for exploration and experience. And as we do, we end up calling in all of those aspects of ourselves that we see in others outside of us, to call it in to harmonize the wholeness of who we are. So whether somebody's standing in front of you, those that you have in your life often that we have much judgment about because they are so different in behavior, different in belief systems, those are aspects of us asking to be harmonized into wholeness. Those soul fragments that have held those beliefs in other timelines, bodies, forms, and other earthly lifetimes, that you're here to accept and acknowledge as a part of you, whether it's any aspect of separation and subjugation that we hold within one another and within ourselves. There are aspects of the self that's asking for its reunion with self. And that is the love of self, of who you are. This is the top-down effect of you in spirit, you and your body, you and your soul and your guides and all that you are in this body right now. This me is right here, me and God. How awesome. And all of these are the lifetime aspects that I can harmonize as I'm moving through the ascension from 3 to 5D. Not all of them, of course, but this is the wholeness of who you are just as an experiential potential. Of course, it's much bigger and grander, but it's the only way we could put it on a paper, if you will. When we're opening up these discussions to multidimensional visuals, you'll have a much better idea, and those will be coming. Because it's a multidimensional thread and sphere of who we are, because we are multidimensional. As you heal the experience now of subjugation, you heal all aspects of subjugation, and you're offering that light to all aspects of you. And that's why sometimes those experiences of release, especially with what our globe is going through, feel so intense, especially those of us that are divine feminine and we're healing really steep timelines of subjugation and various forms of abuse that women have gone through, and why so many of us, I've had emails from you, and I appreciate your emails of sharing, and the clients that I've had all over the globe, and many of us have really shared our experiences of divine feminine tragedies, and you're feeling the collective experience of how our whole entire collective is being healed, and all those energies are coming up from the collective for us to heal. And we showed you in a video, I think it was our last video, about creating that vortex when those systems are starting to crumble and deconstruct, as well as they do every day in your own life, because you're allowing yourself to ever evolve in every moment. That's what today's show is going to be about, is the waking up and the assimilation of the new self, the assimilation of your new self within, and the space that you hold within your home and the communities, because you will be assimilating and calling in those aspects of you that you now are, we say redefining, but you're just allowing yourself to be new and whole, because your personality, we say personality, it's far more than that, because you're multidimensional God essence, the omni you. You're becoming the omnipresence of you, which encapsulates all that you are now calling in and releasing those judgments and just holding it as oneness. even if it's something that can be in what you would know, something that you would say you would never do or would never be a part of, that is still an aspect of you, because the collective is the oneness. And you've held those experiences in varying ways, in varying options, in varying forms and bodies and earthly and planets, encasements, if you will, because that's a part of Source Creator. And to be part of the whole self, to be the higher self, it is the encapsulation of all that is one Source God. And so to hold part of Source outside of you, that is not the integration of oneness. And so it's to find your own unique deconstruction of that story of separation, and then reconstruct it and redefine it and rewrite it for yourself on everything. Make no mistake about it. You can't leave anything out. For instance, if you're walking down the street and you're in your car, you know, your beautiful car that you've spent, you know, a lot of money on and resources. You take great pride in it, and it's been your baby, if you will. And you see somebody across the street that is, you know, pushing a shopping cart with all of their worldly goods in it. And in those moments, we come up with those separations. And then you see someone crossing the street who's grabbing a purse off the shoulder of someone else. Those are experiences within our society that we're allowing ourselves to harmonize as one. And how can we create a higher resolve and a higher sense of oneness? And how can we assist in the socio-altruistic opportunities that are in those experiences? And so it comes with great humility and with great pause to walk through life in that level of mastery and to be humbled. And everyone is, walking their path in their own unique way. The awakening is that those aspects of particles of light that touch the essence of who you are through your own inner soul calling, your soul of the inner part of you, the spirit of you. That's why we are all nourished as spirit. The spirit of you knows and is timed divinely when and how to awaken. And each of us have our own unique awakening story. I've written 3 books about ascension, and I've written many of the little sub-stories of awakening, because awakening is a constant evolution, never stops. You know, your process and your adventure and your journey with spirit as spirit is eternal. Every person that you meet and every person that you have an engagement with is an exchange of potentiation of your oneness in that in you. Whether it's a bird or whether it's somebody in the family across the world, that's our oneness. And the light ships in our celestial families that will be landing. And we're so grateful for all the beings that are with us right now. I want to take pause in a moment for those within the chambers of light. Thank you. And the symposium and the councils of light that we're all dealing with right now. Thank you. And all the codes and energies that will be downloaded to us as we create sacred sound and light language later. And just open your heart to receive whatever codes that you're being offered through the holy energies of your teams and your holy families that you come with, and the many, many soul tribes that you come with. We've got a new illustration coming out that will help describe. I notice in some of my reflections and some of my private sessions with my global clients, I'm now able to use those illustrations in different ways because of your needs and your uses. So your private sessions with me and your intuitive healing sessions with me allow me to always harmonize and, as we just said, evolve into new experiences. So I'm recreating and I'm harmonizing these new illustrations in different ways, and they're going to be used outside the box in different ways too. So I'm really, really excited about your energy and portal that we co-create together. Allows me to create new things for other clients that will be of assistance, the visually excelled aspects of our potential. Many of us are creative visuals. They help us in our process of understanding who we are and having those vibrational clicks and those activations. They're called activations, and often downloads that are allowed to flow through after we have that click. Because there are aspects of you that are constantly in harmonization of the epicenter of you, the field of you, the all of you. It's just sitting there waiting for you to say, releasing that belief of limitation and stagnancy or density because of a story that you were hanging on to from a childhood wound, or you were hanging on to from the collective that you've come with. If you have indigenous DNA, and you might not even know you have indigenous DNA from 3-4 forefathers ago, if we will, because it's not linear, it's all now. But you've taken on in your soul blueprint contract to take on some of the energies of the indigenous peoples to transmute subjugation and the demoralizing experiences that they've had for thousands of years. Those energies will be a part of how you're manifesting, and the deep soul wounds that come forward, and how you see the energies of judgment and and self-persecution. So it's up to each and every one of us to have our daily self-care to kind of sort out those wounds and really breathe into the wounds and call those wounds forward and just allow yourself to feel them and transmute them. And so too with the collective. Anything that you're feeling, you're going through and want to go back, because many of the women, and have you shared with your comments and some of your explorations that you felt about the various experiences of divine feminine tragedy. And you're clearing it for your own collective and your own familial and your own ancestry and lineage as well. When you see and you feel those deep wounds. And as we said in our video, 1 or 2 videos ago, just hold space for that deconstruction of those stories and just allow yourself to rewrite in a new now moment of what you're creating for your collective and ancestry that you come with. Because you might have taken on that story for 3 or 4 timelines within your lineage of your ancestors. And you get to process that energy of limitation, so that every time your ancestors are born into a new now moment on another term of their contract, they might have just crossed over and are preparing themselves to come back in as a crystal child or come into an aspect on Sirius. And it's all again now. We're not saying it's any linear at all. It isn't. It's all now the top-down effect. You've given that ancestor that experience where they don't have to work through that subjugation energy, that they come in as a full goddess of themselves, knowing that they are equal in their brilliance, they're equal in their genius, they're equal in their creativity, they're equal in their leadership and creatorhood. And we want to bring that forward because so often in our divine feminine history, we've never really been known as, and if you ask, we had this in our meeting last, a couple of weeks ago, we were asking the participants, if you think of, just taking a moment in your day without setting aside too much research time, can you think of 5 women, off the top of your head that you've been taught, that you have been, that you've had those opportunities to study in school and to have, beautiful educational, seminars from, and you're looking into, the entanglement that we have with divine feminine creators, and come up with 5 of them. And there will be so many of you that will be quick to name off 2 or 3. But the energy and the archetype and the experience and the embodiment of divine goddesshood that have more than just 1 or 2 stories of the same story that's kind of regurgitated over and over again. There's few and far between, if any. And so we want to start allowing our children to have those embodiments and that storytelling within their now experience. What does divine feminine mean for you? And how can you create those beautiful experiences of initiation into the world that is being initiated anew? Gaia, she's being rebirthed anew. So how can we really create these beautiful sacred initiations? Even if you're in a male body, you're still having to rebirth your divine feminine and allow yourself to be receiving and allow yourself to be in a beautiful experience of intuitive knowing and sacred emotional capabilities. Your emotional intelligence is far more important than the intellectual body, most often than not, especially where we're at right now, where all of our worldly experiences right now are requiring that intuitive body for healing and for the potentiation of how we're becoming more human spirit. They're all needed and required, if you will, but for eons it has been egocentric, which has been the intellect and the lower mind. So now we're harmonizing into who we are, balancing our male and female bodies. There is no judgment of better or worse than it isn't, because every single person has to go through their own rebalancing of their own bodies, their own energy centers. But for thousands of years, it has been a great imbalance for the divine feminine. Whether you're a male or female body, it does not matter. And that is the whole understanding about oneness. So if it's a concept to heart, to wrap your head around, just sit quietly in meditation and offer yourself, what does male and female mean for me within myself? And start working chakra by chakra, because each chakra has its own story of male and female imbalances that you're meant to call forward in your everyday experience and call forward and harmonize into a new vibrational truth. Because that vibrational truth is a new now story. And that now story wants to be written in your now experience for you to behave and entrain in a higher vibrational way. But you're the only one that can do that. Spirit's not going to say, here's your new story, act it out. You're here to write the story. You're here to write the themes. You're here to write the co-creators and the people and the beings and the experiences with Gaia that you want to co-create with. And really start behaving in those experiential ways. And that's why we are saying right now there's so many that are in transition, because there's the need and the desire for those of you that have had your many activations of your multidimensional bodies to be nourished in a way that is serving you, so that you're able to enhance and explore and expand in the many gifts that you are now activating, because they do require different nourishments. They require a different environment, so that you can keep your gifts and your skills updated and expanding. We're having to work with ourselves in different ways because we're becoming more and more light. And so the assimilation of the new me, the assimilation of the new now, is really about calling in and really activating moment for moment and working with the energy of self-importance and self-value and self-worth, and really harmonizing anything that does come forward to you throughout your day, of anything that you're calling a trigger or a judgment on. Just breathe into it and offer it into the oneness vortex that you are creating within yourself. And then offer yourself a new harmonization of a oneness factor belief and harmony, so that you're entraining your mind. Every time anything comes up, you're going to harmonize it into this new now, and you're creating that new now 5D, if you will. And that includes the body and the health and the wellness of all your cells and the light that you're capturing, so that you're breathing greater source light. So anything that you're suppressing and pushing aside and saying that is not yours, it is your divine experience of calling in to say, yes, source, I want this to be greater source light. It's all source light. How you hold it as a judgment or a belief only dictates it as negative and not a part of you. Still source light. There is a belief, and there's something inside of you that holds it as dark or negative, and that's why it appears to you in that way, through the behavior and the playing out of others' games. But it's still a belief in you that has separated it or deemed it as negative or dark, because of the experiences and the games and the blueprints and the contracts you've come with to resolve, because of your experiences on other timelines and other realms that you've taken off your whole soul family. So, no, I can get through this. I can do it, because I will remember that they're all aspects of me, and how can I harmonize into the grander version of me, my wholeness. We're all one in this story, and that brings us the higher resolve, because we're now incorporating all breath to be source light. You're not holding that experience over there, that person over there, that experience of what you thought was not you. You're not holding that source light as separate from you. You want to include that source light into you. That's how you garner greater source light. And that's constant renewal, application of who you are assimilating. It doesn't mean you have to quantumly entangle and engage. You don't have to. You can recognize what you are seeing by observing, and what the feelings, what energies, and what experiences, and what remembrances, and what visions, and what activations are you being triggered within. And then you suss out and you deconstruct your story. Then you get to reconstruct your story. That's the fun part. Say, wow, that really worked for me, and I can see it from all these different angles, but now I want to do this. I want to be this now, and I want to use this wisdom in that. Because remember, you are not your environment. You are the light within it. And then you get to create new. And so it's really important not to see the outer world that we're all going through right now and constantly being entrained by the outer world. No, you're the one that is entraining a new world. You are the light, you are the pillar, you are the seed, you are the presentation, you are the vessel. You're entraining the new world. And that is when you reclaim all of your power, and you're not going to be dictated or conformed by outside experiences. You're creating your reality from who you are within, self-importance, self-value, and how you honor all that you are as a being of light. Are you nourishing the body, emotional, mental, etheric, spiritual, your causal body? And how are you nourishing it? Positive love, affirmations, being caring and kind to your body, ensuring that your body is being treated with great light and great sacredness. And breathe. And why, when you do awaken, you end up caring for your body in different ways, so that you're healing those wounds. Many of us, through many lineage, and even in utero, the wounds that our mothers and our foremothers have had with sexual trauma or sexual abuse or rape. And we take on those energies and heal them for our beautiful ancestors who never had the voice and the intelligence and the wisdoms. They didn't have internet back then where they could sign on and have a 45-minute healing class on how to release trauma. There was no such thing. They had to carry those wounds. And so now we're here in strength as the ones that are healing it for our collective. And why, when we see things in our collective, we get to deconstruct those stories as they're falling apart, and those stories get to be lifted, and we get to honor it, and we get to heal it into a new now story of honor and respect for those women that didn't get their voices heard, their stories known, but we can still transmute the energy into very sacredness of our oneness, because we're all carrying energies of those stories. And it's up to us to say, no, I'm carrying myself with great self-importance now, and I'm not going to allow my body to be treated that way anymore. So what value and what standards are you holding as important for your body? And how can you honor your body, and how you talk to your body, and what energies are around your body, and what energies are you allowing to come into your body space? That life force is very sacred. And how can you share that life force with you sacredly first, foremost, above all? Your life force, you and spirit, you and God, that nourishes all that you are, source creator, the spirit of you, and really rebalancing from within, and not having that warped spirit experience where you're looking outside of yourself and going outside for all the things that we do outside of us to look for our value and our purpose and our self-definition. And we're reclaiming it and going within. And we get to create this beautiful, glorious experience of self-definition and self-experience and self-expression and self-importance and self-value. And really take time and get intimate with that self-importance. For the first few minutes or so, it will feel egoic. And then you surrender the ego. Okay, ego, I want you to surrender. I want this to be a spirited, soulful self-importance. And we say the self-importance for the timelines through which you're healing and you're allowing your light to be known by all. And our oracle cards that we created, the first one that we created was the greatness, magnificence. The very first spark, the God seed cell, through which each and every one of us have that unique soul song. Each and every one of us have a unique song, a harmonic, a note. And that song will be sung through all creation. And why in many of the sacred light languages and the sacred toning that I do, it's when I tone and I sing with spirit, I open as the vessel of spirit, and all of those energies and all of those sounds, and I'm working with different councils of light and different omnipresent. When I say omnipresent, they're consciousness groups and threads and bandwidths of energy and codes. And so I call them into my singing, and I work with the fields and the omnipresent in that, and I send out the luxurious light codes and energies that spirit throws threads through me. And that's the assimilation of me, because those are energies that I've held in other planets, and that's how you co-create the higher vibrational codes into the planet omnipresent. And you also allow others to tap into those codes when they're walking about. And when you are with someone that has a really high vibrational field and they're just living in that energy and those codes of spirit, and they're singing in those codes of spirit, it's a different experience, and your body's going, okay, what's going on here? And that's what's needed. It's like, what's that going on here? That's the trigger that awakens the body, that wake up. And then you get to assimilate, wow, who am I right now? That just felt weird. That's what you want. That's the wake up part, where your brain has to get out of the cycle of entrainment that is expecting to hear a sound or a tone, expecting to hear the repetition of the notes or the lyrics, and stepping outside of the repetition of that experience and create something new, so that the entrainment of what's going on in your wholeness is different. You're now entraining it with the omnipresent, the fields, and the nature. So we had a really cool experience, and I've got some rocks from the beach. We're gonna call in Gaia, just to show you. When I was doing some channeling, they were giving me a channel with the pineal, the importance of the pineal, and those of us that are Christ consciousness and made conduits of energy of elementals and fairies and all of the different energies that we all have potential with. We all have gifts in many different ways on how to read and interpret the stories and the songs of spirit. And they were showing me the beautiful experience of the vessel in and of itself, which we are all vessels and presentations of spirit of the heavens, and how we can all attune ourselves and acclimatize ourselves and assimilate ourselves to read and interpret information that is higher consciousness, that is the omnipresent, that is the essence of spirit. And those tools and those gifts that we all have can be used and attuned and practiced and honored in different ways and valued in different ways, so that we're co-creating a new reality in different ways, instead of, again, the entrainment that we've always come from. And so they were showing me the levels of information and wisdom that are held within the biosphere of our planet, that are able to be read and to be understood and to be sung and read, interpreted, evaluated as a part of who we are becoming. And it's like a constant, just as we've said, the mall of many vibrations. And so if you can imagine the biosphere like a big library, and you going into one section of the library and you're hearing that experience, the biosphere of the forest, the biosphere of an ocean, the biosphere of, a beautiful fielded grass, the biosphere of when the birds sing. Those songs and those sounds and those experiences are all unique and different. And many of us with the attunement of the audible senses, the galactic third eye, and many of the galactic ears, and the things that we're able to hear and sense of our omnipresent fields, we're able to, with the activations and the codes of our multidimensional systems, our DNA, and how we're upgrading and how we're processing light, we get to then hear and create with that field and with those energies and with those songs and the biosphere, and how we're calling in the interpretation of those energies differently. And so the pineal is able to be that beautiful experience of assimilation of the energies and the songs that are always there, but that we get to reach out now and we get to say, well, how can I be a part of this experience with Gaia and actually help? And that's part of the eco altruism, that we're all going to be a part of healing, you know, what the damage that we've done to Gaia, and how to kind of repair it in the most effective and benevolent way, so that we're not putting any more, you know, chemicals back out into the air, and we're doing it in a way that is reciprocal of what's needed and required, without depleting any more resources, and doing our best job to clean it up, and which we will absolutely come up with higher resolved ways where we're clearing up, you know, garbage sites and things like that, and the garbage that's in the oceans and things that we're actually drinking from. And we get to choose that from what they said was the belly of possibilities. And that is spirit. When we're able to tune into the higher consciousness that's all around us, Gaia is speaking to us. Gaia already has these ideas within her consciousness, because spirit is constantly upgrading Gaia and the grids and how we've lived in other timelines and lived in other planets that have already gone through ascension. So again, why it's really important to take that daily self-care time to align with who you are, to breathe and allow yourself to feel, and acknowledge and accept and give yourself permission to feel the energies and the emotions that you're feeling and going through, and allow to the reciprocation of the oneness, and you're assimilating into the new experience of oneness. So the assimilation of the new energy, again, is living as the God self, and by doing so in great gratitude. So the assimilation can only occur if you're in gratitude of the experience that you've just experienced, because that opens the heart portal. Say, wow, how did that affect me? And that cannot be, that oftentimes, if you're going through a release, if you've experienced something, you know, harmful or painful, that the body and all of your systems, your multidimensional systems, are used to just going into flight or defense. And so it takes about 3 to 5 breaths, full body breaths, just to calm down and center all that you are at your heart. And that's just through affirmation and just calling all of your consciousness in, and then grounding, feeling Gaia within the belly, feeling Gaia within your feet and your chakras, and just intending and grounding with Gaia. And then allowing yourself to be present in your whole body, and then opening the heart for gratitude of what you've just experienced and you want to clear. And even if you're waking up from a dream, is there anything that I can process and clear? Because your cells, your organs, all that you are as a multidimensional being holds on to trauma and pain and wounding. And it's up to you, but each person is responsible for caring for your body, for calling it out when it's necessary to be called out, and when you're going through it. Give yourself permission to feel what you got to feel. And process it through the various energetic chakra points. Speak of what you're going through. You know, see yourself in a new way of what you went through, and honor the experiences through which you're all seen as a multidimensional being, of why we have the chakras that we do. Every time that you clear a density from your chakra, you're automatically not only oscillating, because you have just cleared that density, your cells are now able, and the vortices of light are able to oscillate in a way that is more harmonious and more alignment. Then you're able to carry that greater light and oscillation. You're able to breathe and call in that greater source, because you're harmonizing as your whole source now. You're not keeping it repressed or suppressed, and you're allowing greater light to flow through you, because you've just released what density needed to be released, and you're transmuting it again. It doesn't really go anywhere. You're giving yourself permission to transmute it by a higher vibrational story of truth. You're accepting yourself as the wholeness, as the oneness of it. And so that's the transmutation, and can only be done through your gratitude of it, for the experience and for everyone involved, and recalling it back in, because they played that part of that experience that you weren't willing to play. And you had to play those parts for one another. Remember, it's always that's Pisces. You each had to play that part, so that each of you could walk away saying, wow, that taught me a lot. Thank you. Because I wasn't able to see that reflection in myself until you showed that to me. And vice versa. We're each showing each other the reflection, oftentimes, not always, but yes, there is a part within that experience, absolutely, that you're one with. And so how can it be one with you? How can you assimilate that new God essence of you without judgment, without, belittling the experience? It's all God. It's all spirit. We're all moving through evolution, and it's not going to be pleasant. We have to activate that higher resolve. through compassion, through forgiveness, and through love. And it begins with self, the assimilation of self. And so the anatomy of light, the sacredness be that gift that is God and spirit and source in all things, for all that is blessed and all that anchors new life. The history of light is infinite, for there was truly no real beginning, only rings of the evolutionary infusions of joy, of blessedness and excitements to co-create anew. That which aches for the exploration and the expression to experience new. What God the Creator and all of creation is an infinite galleyway of surprises after surprises. For that is the essence of creation. It's not held within the experience of, of course there are agendas, but it is to explore creation. And oftentimes you need those dense experiences of creation to know that you can have that equal opposite experience. When you resolve those energies of density, you jet out into that positive experience. So it's worthy to go through those wounds. Anything that you're acting in shadow, resolve it. Resolve that shadow energy. Jealousy, envy, competition, anything of that is a shadow energy, resolve it. Call it in and say, why would I act from jealousy when I'm absolutely perfect within myself? And start feeding and nourishing yourself as spirit. And control, manipulation, any of those experiences are shadow energies because you're not feeling that you have anything, or it's a lack mentality, or it's a control mentality. Those are all mental beliefs that are not true. They're not real. They're illusions. And so anytime those shadow energies come up, call them back in and assimilate anew. And that is alchemy. That's the only way you can get there. You can't get there through any other way, right? We've said many times before, there's no pill. You must alchemize the energy by you rewriting who you are, and you get to state in your new story of who you are and sing it as the song of who you are, because you have a unique song. Everyone has a unique song. So again, the everlasting evolutionary infusion of joy. So spirit, the cycle of time, the cycle of now, if you will. Spirit's constantly infusing new light so that each of us are being bathed with what it is that we need. We are responsible for our light centers, who we are as light. How are we feeding ourselves and nourishing ourselves as light? How is our environment nourishing us and empowering us and encouraging us to be our highest light? And that's up to each and every individual to suss out what feels right and what feels more harmonious for them, and what are they being, are they able to explore these different experiences like the biosphere and our ability to create those high vibrational communions and communication and intelligences from everything that's always around us. And yes, of course, it's not going to be the traditional, because that's not where we're evolving from. We're not going to de-evolve back into traditional experiences. We can call it with us and take the best of it, but we are now going to be, everything within our reality experience will be high vibrational integration and assimilation. You simply must. That's what evolution is all about. There will be parts of all of our histories, of course. Every year we're evolving into new histories of who we are. That history is now giving us a new now. It's giving us a new creative now moment. A herstory. Herstory will be included, not history. It will be herstory. It will be omni story. Everybody. The greatness is the infinite galleyway, surprise after surprise. That is unusual. So again, to seek the unusual, to seek the new, to seek to be the courageous and the bold, to seek those experiences of new, to go outside the box, constantly go outside the box, constantly create those new navigations through energy, navigations throughout your day. You want to have all vibrational experiences and then root yourself in your new now and say, wow, this is who I am today. I can do anything. That's the God is God energy, where nothing outside of you brings fear and holds you back. And so many asleep at the wheel of their own creation and surrender all creativity and all power to cycles of routine and doldrums. And many experience missed opportunities. So what and how can you go outside of the box and become the assimilation and embodiment of the new oceans of dance and song and humor and creativity and laughter and oneness? This is the upliftment, and this is the creator potentiation. For all are within activational needs and nourishments of your bodies, of your fields, of all that you are, as opposed to continuing on repeating cycles of lack and limitation. So we're constantly in this evolutionary experience, and there's oceans and oceans of opportunity. There's oceans and oceans of potentiation. And we can allow ourselves to tap into these new gifts and start becoming these new assimilations of who we are. And we wanted to talk about these rocks that I picked up from the ocean. And as I was looking at it, I can see all of these different little faces on them, because the life, when I look at things, they come to life for me. And I see faces and rocks. I see faces and consciousness everywhere. And so Gaia will offer you this. And every aspect of consciousness, and I remember back in science, and they would say, we would be going out into the field and we would have to do this chart, and we say, what's alive, what's not alive. Rocks have consciousness. And I've downloaded many stories, and I've communicated many times with Gaia consciousness. Gaia's in everything. Gaia's everything. We are Gaia. And why, when we eat animals, we're embodying and we're being nourished by the energy of the animal. And so again, how the animal is cared for will also go into the energy that you're infusing and eating of that animal. And how your interpretation, your belief of that animal is infusing itself with you. And why we've been much more humane, because we understand that everything is living, and we're infusing and we're ingesting it all. Whether it's a movie, whether it's a song, whether it's your interpretation of who you are and how you're becoming a part of a grander world, it's up to us to rewrite that. It's up to us to say, okay, what now? And this is another rock that I picked up. Beautiful little crisscross. Stories that rock's, see, there's a little hole inside that perfect little hole. It was washed up on the beach in a crisscross there. A little being right there. And so we just want to give a message. And then, of course, this beautiful little seashell. Still got some seaweed on it. So we're just going to hold these and bring forward the biosphere of Gaia. And we're going to do a channel. Thank you, Spirit. Is there anything that Gaia would like to say as we're opening the Earth Star chakras for our own beautiful assimilation of our self-importance? And they're saying that you can practice this too. Have a crystal in front of you. Many of you work with crystals, but you can also tune into the messages of these rocks from the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. Thank you, Spirit. I'm calling in the stories from Gaia. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you. I'm clearing energy. Thank you, Spirit. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. They're showing me that, thank you. They're showing me this beautiful rock that I have in this hand. They're showing me that this rock is like a puppy and like a beautiful little animal. And it's just, I'm just holding it so gently and lovingly in my hand. And it's feeling the warmth of who I am, and it's loving me as I'm loving it. So thank you. It's reciprocating the love that I'm holding in up. Thank you. I'm holding it in on the Spirit. And so they're saying that the exchange in this is love and that is Spirit. Okay, so I'm understanding that, Spirit. Thank you. And of course, this is how I channel as well, in the songs and the sacred sound that I channel in the fields of the Omni. That when I'm opening and I'm allowing myself to embody and entangle with all that is Spirit, their Spirit is placing the story, but this is not how it is. I'm just giving it to you in the best way that I can explain it. There is a story of the love that's held within it that is Spirit and Source Creator that I know as we're entangling with all that is the omnipresent that is Spirit, and how we can entangle ourselves and open to the story that is that, because it's Spirit. Spirit is the portal through your heart through which you're opening, and in gratitude of that experience. I'm holding gratitude of this experience to be in open oneness with you, to communicate a story of the biosphere and the omnipresent that is within all things that are life, that is Spirit. There's consciousness and stories within all things. And so this opening and this portal and this entanglement, this intention is allowing me to feel the energies that I'm entangling with the quantum experience of this rock. And even some scientists would say, well, that cannot be because it's not an experience of life, if you will, but it is. There is consciousness within the experience of all that is Spirit. So now they're showing me the particles within the rock that are heating up based on the love and the unconditional experience that I'm having with Spirit right now. They're showing me the experience of Spirit threading through my hand and threading through my body of love and through my heart, that this rock is speaking with me. So the properties and the experience of this rock is changing as I'm holding it. So that's then for the experience in the mirror and the micro macro, that each and every one of us are aspects of rock, if you will. The matter is just an expression, is just a metaphor, a euphemism. Each and every one of us, as we're allowing ourselves to be loved and be held and be cradled, we too affect all that is around us, and the properties of all that we are changing and embodying in the micro, macro, and the threading of all that is God within the all that is, because we're all cyclical. We're all in the micro, macro experience, cells within cells within cells. Some cells around us are sick and ill, and therefore our chemistry of who we are becoming and allowing ourselves to be cradled and loved is affecting the cells that are with us in the communities. Oh, it's really important that each and every one of us allow ourselves to awaken and play and to be excited within who we are, so that we are affecting our light and our light is projecting to others to assist them in activating their fields to wake up, wake up, wake up. You're more than you think you are. You're more than you thought. You are more than you were taught or told. Wake up, wake up, wake up. You are more than you were taught or told. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. You were brought from the seas, and you were brought from the lands, and you were brought from the cosmic and the stars above. You were brought from all aspects of the heavens, dear lighted ones. You were brought from all that is love. You were brought from the highest of the heavens, and you were brought from all galaxies far and wide. You were brought from the oceans, and you were brought from the forests. You were brought from the sands that you stroll upon. All is the experience of the song that is you. All that you are allowing yourself to open in appreciation of divine entanglement is your story and your song to be sung. As you sing it, for it becomes. As you sing it, for it becomes. For you are, you are, you are. Is there any other message that would like to come through? Thank you, Spirit. And so those were the shamans and the inner earth ancestors for all of us, that we come with ancestors and we come with guides, and they have lifted us and they have carried us through some of the most challenging waves as our galactic planetary transition. We've gone through many challenging waters, and the next couple of months will be about the benevolence of each and every one of us to remain as centered and as peaceful as possible as we're riding the wave, just to ride the wave and accept it all. And just if something's crumbling and falling apart, allow it. It's meant to fall away. It's meant to fall away. It's meant to fall away. They have lifted us through many challenging waters and challenges of change and transformation, but now it's up to us to sing and break out of the box and become something new with the assimilation of all that they have offered through all of the activations and all of their lifetimes, so that we can co-create a new, beautiful experience of a unified earth, through which every being on this planet is held as one and is equal and is fair and is the most beautiful, valued experience that is the spirited child of God as creator. We've come from all many heavens and many DNA experiences and many galactic cosmic experiences for us to all assimilate anew. Assimilate the new version of you. What does that mean for you? How can you explore anew? How can you go outside the box? How can you allow what was to be entirely something new? Because that is what allows us to break through the boredom, the doldrums, and the routines that are just keeping all that we are in stagnancy, the cells and the bodies and the organs and all the sicknesses and the illnesses that we co-create. We want to break out of the box and know that we are truly powerful to rewrite all stories. You can feel the beautiful heart activation, heart activation, heart activation. Thank you, Spirit, and all the galactic councils. Is there any other message that would like to come through? We're going to pull Joanna Oracle, and we're going to pull a sacred animal oracle as we tune into the councils of light and the galactic federations and the star councils. Gerard, thank you. And the Pleiadian, Syrians, Arcturians, thank you, my beautiful family from Arcturus, thank you, Spirit. Cassiopean, Centaur, Centaurian, thank you. Thank you. Cosmic and galactic tribes, thank you. Guardians of light, thank you. Thank you. You are each the embodiment of each of us. And we find it so exciting that you walk along your planet. Most often than not, it's like going into a room with many doors and you get to go in a door and what will you find next? This is how we see each and every one of you. Like new doors of opportunity that are going to walk into new aspects of you, new remembrances of you. In just a moment, you might be awoken into something new and exciting. How can you see your moment for moment life as a surprise, dear lighted ones? As we offered you earlier, that Source is always offering you surprise, vibrational surprise here and there. Vibrational surprise to create from new, vibrational surprise to take what was and create something from your own unique genius, from your own soul's essence, from the many timelines and planets and forms that you have taken and make it brand new. For there are the harmonized songs. There was a word there before that. Spirit, can you please go back up? There was two threads that were coming in at once. Can we just read back up to those threads, please? I just saw two crisscrossing threads. So timelines and crisscrossing, and why we can feel like we're in between worlds, or also tapping into the energies that have not yet been tapped into and calling them forward to this new timeline. Harmonizational? No, it's like we're transplanting, taking a thread from here and taking it there. Again, so that what we're doing with the education system, we're going to be totally rewriting it. We're going to absolutely know what it served us and how it served us and how limited it allowed us to stay within stagnancy, and not allowing the multidimensional functions of our dynamic processes within all galaxies and all the universe. And to allow our teach learning to become one within who we are at the heart space and all of our multidimensional vortices of information, wisdoms, and alchemy from all systems. We say alchemy in that the chakras and the vortices that you hold within yourself, the forms that we call imprints or implants, or just downloads, experience, because many of you come in different ways that you're wanting to express information, and how you capture a download and how you activate something is different to each person. So we can't just pocket it under one word. When you wake up one morning just knowing what you know, sometimes that will be gained in one being different from another being. One being might get it from a forest or from a song, and they'll get activated. And it's activated in different ways because you want that dance with spirit. You want every part of your journey to be unique. You want to navigate in and out. You want to be able to be activated in different ways, and why many of you come forward as the conduit to offer different ways of activation of high vibrational co-creation and experience and exploration. For each and every one of you get activated in different ways. Some of it's light language, some of it's sound, some of it's color, some of it's tone, some of it's the earth. Much of it will be from the earth. How can it not be from the earth? So allow yourself the idea that you are assimilating en masse. Just be open to assimilate, open to be new, open to be the experience and the surprise of the unexpected. So again, they're showing me you are the surprise. Like we're just coming out of the surprise box. We are that surprise box to a lot of the galactic federations and a lot of the teams that are watching us. Like, what are they going to do next, kind of thing. And we're allowing ourselves to be new. Yes. And it's just lead me, spirit, just lead me. So the one that came up, the evolutionary children, again, the creative collective children. And so that's about creative liberation. And though that is understanding all of the different hybrid collectives that we come from, and the different crystalline DNA that we have, the codes within our DNA that activate us in our remembrance of who we are, and why we must assimilate these new experiences of who we are, and to do things and to become things and to explore things in different ways, whether it's sound, whether it's classes, whether it's getting together with new people, different tribes, different communions, having the interest and excitement to rewrite something, have the interest, excitement to be a part of rewriting something in the collective, and allowing that to be part of the platforms that are being co-created, bringing spirit matter into matter for all the children collective, because they require something in a higher vibration than we do. And we will be creating much changes of the teach learning system. And so that's, again, new system programs and rewriting, aligning to the higher vibrational crystalline grids and the light programs that are always held within that fluid flow. We're downloading the codes from the crystalline grids and from our higher selves, and we're bringing it in and we're anchoring it. We are the bridge of the heavens. And they are also empathic healers, empathics, conduits, those that understand energy in a multidimensional way, the unseen, and bringing it to the seen. As many of us are a part of the Creator God group, we're able to understand energy of the unseen and bring it to the seen, and that is within the heavenly programs of the 144,000, as well as the Creator Gods, and many of the programs through Metatronic systems of light delivery. Thank you, Spirit. Light language, sacred children, archetypes will now be added to many of our, again, when we talked about at the very beginning, how many of you can think of divine feminine, as a part of our collective history. And we're now going to start to include the sacred children, which have totally been left out, as well as many of the indigenous and disenfranchised groups. And why would we even have disenfranchised? So this is a part of our whole human rewrite. And every being on our planet deserves its own story and song. And so it's really important. And the dreamer, the visionaries, the code breakers, again, there has to be those ones that go outside the box and create new things that seem weird and unknown to others, but that's meant to be. We're not meant to create the same thing and regurgitate the same thing. We're meant to create new and innovative experiences for those codes and for those energies that are already within us that need that activation through sound, through light, through codes, through a different way of doing and creating great songs. Our entertainment business will be entirely transforming, because the bodies and the systems and the experiences will need that soulfully rich experience. It's not going to be what it was 10 years ago. That's why we must evolve with the light. We are the evolutionarists of the light. We are creating these new experiences that are light filled and that are that dynamic wave of creation that Spirit is. And so many of the beautiful magical programs that are the creative experiences of who we are and always becoming, the new 5D hybrids, rainbow children, crystalline children, creative liberations for all aspects of our creative reality. So thank you, Spirit, for allowing me that communion. Wow, I'm so hot right now. I'm so hot right now. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. There's a saying, we're running more light through. Thank you, Spirit. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, Spirit. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Spirit. I'm so grateful. You are each the harmony to us. Thank you. And we love it when you sing together. Thank you, Spirit. So grateful. Or when you create the notes of who you are and you create your harmonies and come together and allow your songs to each harmonize with one another. You're creating beautiful, ecstatic music throughout creation. For each of you are a color and a thread and an ecstatic note that becomes new, that becomes new, that becomes new. For all is the harmony. All is the harmony of Spirit, Creator of all galaxies, of all that is. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, God. Thank you, Creator. Thank you, Source. Thank you, all beings of all life. Thank you, every human on this earth. I love you. I'm very grateful for each and every one of you. This is Joanna, the soul of Joanna, coming forward. I'm very grateful as the soul of Joanna to come forward and say that we are so very grateful for the sharing of our sacred gifts to be brought through. She has been very hesitant and trepidatious of bringing her creative self forward to share through you and each and every one of you. The surprise, acceptance, and love for each and every one of your own creative gifts, and allowing all acceptance of all creative gifts to be seen and known. And through her, she sings for you and to you and through you of the own creative exploration that you are a spirit. Thank you. I just had this out on my desk earlier today. The crow. And the crow is always the messenger of news, the messenger of new beginnings, and the messenger of what Spirit is always depositing in our field, and the surprises and the unexpected experiences. I'm going to cry. And so if you can imagine the very center of your soul, there is the beautiful divine sacred song that each and every one of you have. And it's about the seeking within and the knowing of thine self, the healing of thine name, and the quantum experience and the quantum language that we all offer you are the explorations through which all of these little strings and jets are exactly what I experience when I'm tapping into the center of the experience of who I am with Source. All of these songs and the harmonies and the notes and the codes of what I'm being offered, because when I'm opening up, all of the universe is just there waiting for someone to open up and get the codes and call it in for evolutionary threading. Remember, everything is a harmonic, and it's always threading, it's always threading, it's always threading. That's how we move through the galaxy and the evolutionary time, which we've showed you before. And in that, it becomes, I think it's on top here. Yeah. Gotta organize. That's what they showed me many years ago. This is the side view. They showed me many years ago the top-down effect of the universes that are harmonizing into a new bandwidth, if you will. So this is our universe, and we're sitting right here, our particular planet within the galaxy. And we're now harmonizing, and it takes those threads of light and song and sound and code, and it brings it up to those other lights. That's called the pearl threaded, through which, again, you acting on your highest and your best, you're being that pearl threaded for others that choose to awaken and take a part of that ride as well, but don't have to. And that's why allowance is really, really big, and a part of, again, just let things crumble, allow. What are you taking from it? How is your soul growing from it? And how are you creating that new story for you? And then you get to sing your new song. And so we honor each and every one of you. Thank you. And so this is our beautiful day. We also have our communities of light every Thursday at 6:45 Pacific Standard Time. You can join by Zoom, and it's by a donation. I don't yet have it up on my website yet. My website is below for private intuitive sessions, private healings, activations, vocational coaching sessions. I have packages of 4 for those. I also have private coaching sessions, packages of 4, as well as individual sessions. And I also do many celebrations and ceremonies for any land. And I can remote view if you're wanting to set up sacred space, because right now the travel restrictions and stuff is a bit limited, but we've done many sacred site travels and creating stories and consultations to add vibrational information into many of the experiences here on Earth, the biosphere that's always been connecting with us, to upgrade us and to live with us and love with us and create new stories. So we're so very excited to bring these new experiences, and we love you so very much. Our information on our website links are below. Our donation links are below, and we love you so much for those of you that have donated. And joining us for our bi-weekly, twice a month, our bi-weekly mastery classes. We had an incredible class last Saturday, and I still have the video. I somehow have to find a way to store these videos, and then if those want to purchase them. It was an incredible class. And so anybody that wants to purchase that video, it's $50 US, and it's a 3 or 4 hour video. And we talked a lot about the Earth Star chakra and how it helps in healing, how it helps in activation of the gifts and so on. And we've had some great feedback. So I'm so grateful. Everything that comes out in that class is always new. The mastery classes are always new, learning more about, again, the pineal and the various biospheres and how we're healing with Gaia, what's needed and required with Gaia, how it helps us in our daily alignments and our vocational upgrades, if you will. And so those classes are really, really impactful. I'm so grateful. And anybody that wants to leave their comments below of you that were on that class, we'd love to hear from you, or send your feedback in. I can't remember, I sent you a feedback sheet. But if you did get a feedback sheet, just send me your feedback. We're wanting to continue with that master class every second week, because they're so very valuable, and what comes out of them is so profound. And so I really do have to keep those videos because they're just, the information that comes out is it's mind-boggling for me. I wish there was a dictation thing that we could put it all in writing and then put them in little modules. So there's going to be lots that we'll come forward with as the resources allow us, and we're allowing ourselves to collaborate in greater ways. And we love you so very much. So assimilate the new version of you. Get excited. Go outside the box. You're meant to be different. You're meant to shine your unique light. And just intend from your heart as you're walking about. And every footprint that you put down on this earth, Gaia knows you. Your light is known across the entire galaxy. Your light is known to all that is spirit. Call in. I've been feeling the wonderful, all of the wonderful energies that are always with me and always a part of my everyday life. And I'm often verklempt throughout the day because it's what I've remembered when I was a kid. They've always been my family. The celestial teams and the light ships have been more of my family on Earth. And they've understood me and loved me unconditionally, because I've always felt and I've always known the level of love unconditionally that they've always offered me and cradled me in. I've never felt anything like it in this human form. And it was always very hard for me and very challenging for me to see the world in such a transparent way, and see through the behaviors and see through the anger and the pain that most dysfunctionally live within. and not understand it all, especially as a young child, and then to have this other beautiful world that I could see and envision and talk with and be with, and then try to assimilate the experiences. And of course, when you're growing up, you don't know any of that because you're not taught that in the 70s, you know, what it all means and how you see things and hear things that others can't and don't. But why it was so confusing for me, and the path that I walked was so purposeful in the many dysfunctions that I walked within, and to hold it with great honor and great pride, to assimilate all of that as great gratitude. And it was all purposeful. And I thank everybody that's on my journey that allowed me to dive deeper within who I was and to find the inner strength, and not to succumb to the vibrational stories of subjugation and hate and harm. And I'm only here because of the incredible experiences of love that all of my guides in the celestial families, as Jesus said, walking with the heavens, and all of my incredible ancestors, as they said, that they are lifting us up to these experiences so that we can be our highest and our best and sing what is meant to be brought through. We're meant to know how powerful creators we are through the consciousness of who we are as spirit. Spirit is our consciousness. And to connecting with each other in consciousness of love and light and oneness. And nothing can touch your consciousness. Nothing can take from you. Nothing can mimic or copy you. Nothing can take that destiny that is that divine seed cell that is spirit. Each person has their own unique divine seed cell. And why would you want to be anything else? And that's the remembrance, that your seed cell is unique, and it's beautiful, and it's gracious, and it's sacred, and it comes with an infinite number of timelines and experiences and love that you want to feel and you want to nourish and nurture and bring forward, right? That's you. You wouldn't want it to be about anybody else. Your love for you, your experience of you, your health of you, your transmutation of you, your creational abundance of you, it's all you. You wouldn't want it to be about anybody else, because when you get this, everything outside of you shifts and changes. And so it really is the micro macro from within, and then spirit as above brings it below. That's the key. It's always from within. You and you, you and you, you and you. Your seed cell is your story through all time with you in spirit. And that seed cell encompasses all of your gifts and all of your creativity and all of your transmutational potential of all of your illnesses and all of your health. You can mine that, and you can bring that forward and call forward your highest health and your highest genius. Why would you want a genius of somebody else? It's you. Your genius is you. Your genius becomes more of your genius. So again, competition and all of those experiences are just the not knowing of what spirit is. And that's okay. It's a part of our ride. But now we can say no more. Surrender the vibrational stories that put you in competition or less than or lack of anybody else, because those stories in those days are over. Deconstruct it and return back within and seek your own story with spirit. Your seed cell, your song, your story, and you get to write it, call it forward, play with it, assimilate it, create with it, behave with it, and train it. Co-create again, go outside the box, do it again, go outside the box, go again, go outside the box, do it again. Release all of the lower vibrational patterns that keep you in limitation and stuckness. And we are sending you love and light and honor. We send you love and light, dear lighted ones. Thank you so much. So for anybody that wants to buy that video, the links of donation will be below. Our bi-weekly class, I think our next one is, do we know when the next one is? I think it had our last one the 9th. The next one will be on the 23rd. That will be the next bi-weekly class. So anybody that wants to attend that class, send me the $50 USD in my donation, and then put the little write-up in the note comment part, or you can e-transfer it and just send me an email, and I'll put you on the list for the link for that class, and it will be on the 23rd. Just writing it down. And that class is again going to be more about the multidimensional chakra systems and how it assists in healing, co-creating, and manifesting, and opening up to the higher vibrational source light that we are, and assimilation. It's all about light assimilation now, and processing and being able to integrate. So we thank you, dear light ones. We love you. Namaste.